Welcome to today's webinar, Close the Compliance Gap with Managed File Transfer. I'm Stephanie Deakins, Marketing Programs Manager with SEEBURGER, and your host for today's webinar, along with our value-added partner, INDSOFT. Let's get started. Today's panelists are Bob Kruszewski, Senior Account Executive with INDSOFT. He's going to share the value his customers are seeing with their SEEBURGER solution. We also have Brian Buchholz, Senior Solutions Architect with SEEBURGER. He will take us through most of the presentation today. Now I'm pleased to present Bob Kruszewski with INDSOFT.
Thank you everyone for attending our webinar. I am Bob Kruszewski with INDSOFT. Today I'd like to start with a brief overview of INDSOFT. INDSOFT was founded in 1998 and we provide a wide range of IT consulting services to our valued clients. In 2012 we became a SEEBURGER channel partner and we provide the full suite of SEEBURGER business integration products and services. We were listed on the Inc. 500 5000 fastest growing company list from 2009 and 2011 and upcoming in 2012. We are a registered minority business enterprise and an SAP services partner as well. We are active members in the America's SAP user group, the Chicago Project Management Institute, and we are currently undergoing ISO 9001-2008 certification. INDSOFT is also very heavily engaged in providing contingent labor and staffing services with employees currently servicing customers in 32 U.S. states within a diversified client base of consumer packaged goods in retail, services and integration partners, energy, and healthcare and pharmaceutical companies. So why INDSOFT selected SEEBURGER as a partner? Most of my clients are not just looking for an EDI solution. They are looking for a unified platform that can handle both secure managed file transfers and B2B or EDI transactions. Application integration is also a key requirement. Our customers have to integrate into multiple warehouse systems, ERP systems, or management systems in order to complete an order. SEEBURGER's solution does all this and more, gives our clients the end-to-end visibility and governance they require in today's very fast-paced world of big data. Next, I'll briefly walk you through a sample managed file transfer client example, this one from the financial services industry. The challenge the client had in this case was better reliability, security, and governance that they had with their existing FTP solution. They needed to also maintain audit trails for regulatory compliance and certainly keep costs low while maintaining high availability of the service. Additional pain points was the network was wide-ranging in order to reach branch offices and other service points. And their current systems just did not scale well to meet peak period demands and growth expectations. The existing solution required additional resources to maintain and did not provide the enhanced security and governance they required. The SEEBURGER Managed File Transfer solution provided all of these checkpoints and more, including the ability to transfer high volumes and large file sizes with no size limit, the reliability and error recovery through checkpoint restart and other features that the client required, security, encryption, and audit reports, and the system scaled to support the peak demand and volume growth that they anticipated. And certainly, the system was easy to use, and the after-sales service and support was key. Some future plans for the systems are to integrate mobility devices for system-to-human and human-to-human ad hoc transfers to handheld devices while maintaining security and governance. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Brian Buchholz. And again, I'd like to thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you all for attending today's webinar. I'm Brian Buchholz. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect with SEEBURGER, and I'm also a subject matter expert on MFT, or Managed File Transfer. I have a consulting background in security and PCI compliance as well, so you're going to be seeing some elements related to those things throughout the course of this webinar on MFT. Right here we have a little agenda of what all to expect for today's webinar. We're going to start first with maybe some of the, maybe the problems that you're having today related to data and file movement. We'll then get into, what exactly is MFT and, what does it constitute exactly. We'll then get into this solution itself, the solution that SEEBURGER has to offer, for MFT, all the various products that we have and how we can help maybe address some of your requirements or problems. And then at the end, we're going to save a little time to answer any questions you might have. So go ahead and input whatever question you might have in the little GoToMeeting panel, and we'll answer your questions at the end. All right, so let's start first with tools that perhaps all of you guys are using, and almost every company uses these tools in some fashion, and you might be using these tools to move around either large or critical data. And this here kind of highlights the risk or the caveats to using these various point solutions or legacy solutions for file movement. For example, FTP. Almost everyone uses FTP to move files around. It's cheap or freely available, and it's easy to set up and deploy. But the downside to FTP is that, because it's so easy to set up and because it's so readily available, you'll oftentimes find that various end users will set up their own little FTP server on a workstation and will use it to transmit files to and from your company without any sort of governance or visibility. So that's a big downside to FTP. Another tool commonly used for moving files around within the organization are network shares. And the big problem with network shares is that there's a lack of an audit trail. It's hard to keep track of who all accessed what file on the network. Email is another big tool used for sending those attachments or files, and a lot of times those files contain sensitive information. And email was never designed with security in mind. It was just merely meant to be a tool to send information without any sort of aspect of security. So that's a big drawback to using email for transmitting sensitive information. Plus, as you guys may know or have already experienced, it's not very good with handling large files. Another, more of a device, I guess you could say, that are commonly used are the use of maybe a CD, like burning some sort of CD, or a USB drive. Those are becoming more popular now. And those things are costly. For one, you have to mail them or you have to purchase them, and also they're easily lost or misplaced. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of things in the news about how some sort of USB device that contains patient information ends up on eBay and falls into the wrong hands. And finally, a lot of times people will fall back on consumer grade tools to transmit those sensitive company files. And although things like YouSendIt and Dropbox have their place and they're great for personal use, they lack a lot of enterprise type features and functionality that are really needed for your corporation. Another problem businesses are facing today is that we now have more data. More files, more data, bigger files, more historical data. Maybe now you're depending more on technology, file transfer of some sort for trying to transmit CDs and videos and things like that. So there's definitely now more data that you're having to deal with, and today's tools aren't really geared towards dealing with large data. In particular, if you're trying to transmit a file and it happens to be large, and somewhere along the way that the transfer stalls or interrupts, you have to start that whole transfer over again a lot of times. There really is no mechanism to restart where it left off. Another big aspect to file movement today and data is that there's now more complexity. A lot of times what IT shops are having to deal with today is the fact that more and more they're becoming a shared services type organization within the company, where actual employees of your company are considered clients to your shared service. And because of that, you try to be everything to everyone, and you now have a lot more complexity, you have a lot more use cases, a lot more user types or endpoint types. So there's a big challenge in how do I deal with all these different types of use cases on one platform. And a lot of times that one solution you have may not support all these various use cases, and again, that drives the need for a managed file transfer solution. Another issue of importance here is the aspect of data leakage. And this was a study conducted by Symantec back in 2010. So you can project out these figures a little bit in terms of inflation and more data and more leakage as a result. So today these numbers would probably be a little bit higher, but give you a good idea. Symantec has estimated that the average cost to a business for a data breach is $7.2 million. And how that figure comes about, could be the loss of intellectual property, or maybe the loss of customer information that contains payment details or whatever. Maybe being fined or sued as a result of this loss of data or breach. And on average, and again this is back in 2010, a little more costly today, but on average, the typical cost of each record that is compromised is an estimated of $214. All right, so now that we've talked a bit about some of the risks or limitations or problems that you have today regarding file movement and data, let's talk now a little bit more about what exactly is MFT and what types of features and functionality does MFT bring to the table that might help address some of the problems that you're having today. All right, so what is exactly MFT? And I've been in this business for a little while now, and what I've experienced is that everyone seems to have their own view or thought on what exactly MFT should be or what features it should have. And it's kind of like saying, hey, when you think of a house, how would you describe that house? And everyone will come back and give you just a different description of a house. Maybe it has the same general layout or design, but there might be different little nuances to that. Maybe different number of windows or doors or whatever. Well, same idea with MFT. MFT has slightly different meanings to everyone. So what SEEBURGER has done, and due to our good relationship with analysts, and in particular Gartner, we have worked very closely with Gartner, and we have identified what exactly is Gartner's definition of MFT. What's their vision of it? What does it contain? What does it do? And we have designed and developed our product set, based upon Gartner's definition of MFT. And this here is the basic elements of MFT as defined by Gartner. And some of the main elements here, and the big theme here is that all these elements exist on one solution. And more importantly, all these elements exist in one focal point. So there's kind of like a gateway or consolidation aspect here, meaning that all file transfer activities occur in one place. And the benefit to that, beyond the cost and the administration, is that you get centralized end-to-end visibility, you get centralized governance, you get centralized management. You have basically one place where you can manage all these file transfer type activities. And that is the big benefit of MFT, is it's one singular place where all files get moved around at.